All right, so we're gonna get started. Good afternoon once again. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a Saturday afternoon, so definitely thank you so much. My name is Flor Sandoval. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about me just before we start. So I'm currently a counselor with the community colleges. I work at 2 different colleges. And I am also a product of community college. So that means that I went to community college first, and then I transferred to get my bachelor's degree. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the career technical education that the community colleges provide. So this is better known as the CTE. So you probably heard about it. So we're going to talk about that and what CTE is and the different careers that you can get into. So we're going to get started. What we're going to do is Andrea is here helping me out. So if you do have any questions as I'm presenting, please, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. I am gonna have like a Q&A at the end of the presentation, but if you do have like a pressing question, you can't just, you want it answered, definitely just put it on the chat and we can answer it throughout the presentation. So I do want this to be interactive as much as we can. I know that it's difficult sometimes through Zoom. But again, if you have comments or chat or like a question, just go ahead and put it in the chat. Right. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna give you an overview of what the community colleges. A lot of you guys probably already know what the community college system is. So I'm just going to do a super basic introduction to it. But we're going to talk about the admissions requirements and the cost, right? We're also going to learn about what career technical education is, like CTE. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys want to know what that is, or you probably already have an idea and you're curious about a particular field. I'm going to also spotlight some CTE programs. There's just so many. So when I was creating this presentation, I was, having a hard time as to selecting what programs, because there's so many, but I'm going to show you a tool so that you can also do your research. And you can, kind of explore the different CTE programs that the community colleges offer. I am a child development counselor, so we're going to focus a little bit on the early childhood education program. So this is for those students or parents that are interested in going into, becoming a preschool teacher or working with young children or working at a daycare, or possibly maybe hosting your own or opening your own daycare. And then every link that I'm going to show you throughout the presentation, I put it together in one of our last slides. So I'm going to share all those resources with you at the end, and then we'll have time for questions. All right, let's get started. Okay. So the community college system is probably one of the biggest in the state. They have 116 community colleges throughout the whole entire state. So one of the things that I always joke with my students is that, if they ever tell me like, oh, I can't go to school because I'm going to move, I always, my joke is like, well, you can't run away from the community colleges because they're everywhere. Most likely there's going to be a community college wherever you move, right? So they go all the way north to all the way south. And I wanted to show you this very cool link. And again, this one is on the resource page that I'm going to share with you. So when you're looking, so let's say that you're planning on, like maybe taking a class at a community college, or you're planning on going to a community college, you're looking, okay, so what colleges are around me? So just even in my area, this is a cool map, because within my area, it shows me all the different ones, all these community colleges, the pins. These are all community colleges around my area. So that tells me the distance from where I live. And then you can click on the website and you can learn more about that particular community college and how you can apply for it. So this is a very nice tool that you can play around with as you are looking for a community college near your area or where you live. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go back where we were. Okay. And you guys can still see my screen, right?
Yeah, we're still watching your screen.
Okay, perfect. So I know sometimes when I switch screens, like it doesn't show it. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys can still see it. Okay. All right. Okay, so how does it work, right? So community colleges, there's no GPA requirement. There's no admissions test that you have to take. There's also, you can apply every semester. So that's what we call rolling admissions, that you can just apply any semester. So if, let's say you wanted to take a class, during the spring semester right now that is happening, then you can go ahead and do that. You can apply to take a class during the spring semester. Once the application is submitted, you can begin the enrollment process. So that means that there's like no denial, like nobody gets denied, or basically you put in your application, you can start registering for a class. And you don't necessarily need a high school diploma to go to take a class at the community college. So we're gonna talk about that in the next slide. So like a good resource especially for high school students. The class offerings are very flexible because our student population is very diverse. So we have, students who are working full-time, part-time, who are parents who are probably caring for, family members, or, it's so many different things. So the class offerings are, as early as like 6 a.m. in the morning, as late as like 9 p.m., right? So it's very flexible. A lot of community colleges also offer classes on Saturdays. So, you can definitely work around that. I remember when I was going to community college, I was taking a biology class. I started at 6:40 a.m. So definitely very early to take a bio class, but that just, it fit with my schedule. And then right now, because of the pandemic, a lot of these classes are being offered mostly online, but some of the colleges are moving into in-person. So there are some in-person classes being offered right now for the spring semester. But let's, like pre-pandemic, like let's pretend like, we're done with this pandemic. Classes are offered in person, online, hybrid. So it's definitely very convenient. And, hopefully you can work it around your schedule. Okay, is it affordable? So you're probably going to learn this with other workshops, but there are other institutions of higher education in California. So the community college is actually the most affordable, right? It's the cheapest. So it's $46 per unit. Okay. So, if you're in high school and middle school, a class is what, like 5 credits, I think, right? So just pretend that is 5 times 46. But in college, the units they can be 3 units, 4 units, right? But anyway, but it is the cheapest. And, but you can use financial aid, which can definitely cover your tuition. So for a lot of you guys, this may be free. We also have a lot of different programs you can apply to. So they have like the Promise where you can go to school right after high school, like for recent high school graduates, you can actually go to school for 2 years for free, like without having to pay tuition. So for a lot of you guys, your college, basically your first 2 years in community college are free. You probably won't even have to worry about that. So, and there's a lot of resources to programs that also pay and help for your, they help pay for your books. So it's definitely very affordable. And then we're going to talk about other programs that you can also go into within the career technical education. Okay. Maybe some of you guys have heard this before, but highly encourage you, if you are a high school student, to take advantage of this. This is what we call the concurrent dual enrollment. That means that you can actually be taking classes at the community college while still in high school. You can take, and this is all college, it will count toward your college credit. A lot of times I know that you can take a college class and then count it toward your high school A through Gs. And this is free for students, for high school students. So high school students do not have to pay to take college classes. And maybe a lot of your high schools already have a lot of community, like maybe they have a community college hosting like class, right? So I don't know, maybe your high school has a psychology class hosted by ELAC or, another school. So really take advantage of this opportunity, because you can definitely get ahead, but also it's free, right? So take advantage of it. I'm gonna check the Q&A. Okay. Okay, so what do the CCCs offer, right? So they, this is 2-year colleges, so they offer the associate's degrees. You can also transfer to a university. So let's say that you wanted to go to UCLA, right? So you can transfer from a community college into UCLA. They also offer certificates. We're going to focus on the technical vocational career aspect of it. And then I'm going to talk about also the bachelor's degree. So just not too long ago, some community colleges started to offer bachelor's degree, only 15 schools on selected majors. So not all of them offer it, but definitely a great opportunity. But for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus on the CTE component, okay? All right. So what is career technical ed? So career technical education is basically, it's a set of programs or certificate programs where it would allow the student to jump into the workforce right away. So right now, I don't know how many of you guys are high school seniors who are graduating in the spring, and you're probably thinking like, what am I gonna do, right? Or maybe parents, you guys are trying to maybe switch careers or looking for a career. So what the CTE does is that it introduces you straight into the workforce. So these are certificate programs that can be anywhere between 4 months. So that's like 1 semester, 2 semester, depending on the program. And they're all hands-on. So that means that students are going to get firsthand experience in the field. Okay. These classes are also great starting point, and they can lead toward like a degree and certificate. So one of the points that I wanted to make is let's think about CTE as kind of like building a house, right? So when you're building,
sorry, someone just asked a question, asking if your PowerPoint or handout will be available to them.
Sure, yeah, I can make it available. I can share it with you guys, Andrea, and then you guys send it out to them. I can do that.
Yeah, you could just share me the link and I'll share it to them.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Bertha.
Thank you, Berta. So yes, so basically the way that it works is that, let's pretend that we're building a house, right? So the very first thing that we are supposed to build, right? What is it? A foundation, right? A strong base. So this is what the CTE programs do. They give you that base, that introduction. So let's say that you're interested in I don't know, becoming a nurse, or you're interested in fashion or cosmetology. You just want to get straight into the workforce, right? And I get this all the time. I see students all the time who are like, Flor, like I'm trying to get into, I want to switch my career. I'm just trying to get straight into it and get a job. What can I do? Right? So this is what the CTE does. It's like kind of like, think about it as like short-term careers, right? That or like, sorry, short-term training programs that are going to allow you to go into the workforce. But they also give you that strong foundation so that if you decide that you wanted to build another floor to your house, make it a second or third story house, you'll have that foundation already set. So, and that's what I mean when I mentioned that it can lead to a degree, or a certificate or a license. You can always come back and maybe you decide you probably want to go and get a bachelor's degree, or even a master's, but you already have a very strong foundation. Okay. Depending on the program that you choose, the training or the preparation can take anywhere between 4 months to 2 years. Most likely the ones that take the 2 years are like, if you're looking into the health careers, like nursing, respiratory therapy, those are the ones that normally take a little longer. But there are certificates that you can finish in 1 semester or 2 semesters. Let me see. Okay. And then just to make a note, some of these programs might require that you do specific courses, and additional admissions applications, or even entrance examinations. And again, this could, an example of this can be the nursing program, the radiology program. So all of those different careers, right? So what we're going to do on the next slide, let me see. Okay. So we're going to explore different CTE programs. So these are just to name a few. Like I said, there's just so many programs, and that I can definitely talk about. So this could be like an all-day presentation. But there's definitely a lot of different programs and a lot of different emphasis or different concentrations. So again, if you're interested in fashion, you want to be a chef, culinary arts, EMT, construction, business, like there's just so many things that you can definitely explore. So I'm gonna show you this tool, and again, I'm gonna share the links with you at the end of the presentation. So this is the California Community College page. Is called the I Can Go to College. And so basically what you would do is you would go to degrees and certificates. And for the purpose of the presentation, we're going to look at the career education certificates, which are the some like the short ones, and we're also going to look at the associate's degrees that take about 2 years to complete, depending on which one you do. So we look at that. So we click on career education certificates, and then we scroll down. So it's a cool tool because it allows you to look, if you have like a specific field you want to go into, you can just type it in. Or if you have a college that you're looking into, you can also do that as well. So let's see. So if we do that, Let's look at electric tech. All right. So once you select the college, it's going to give you different categories, right, of what you can do. So let's say, let's look at energy and construction utilities at electric. So here you can see that, you can go into construction technologies, architectural design, electrical construction. There's just so many emphasis that you can go into. And again, this it all depends on the program. I'm not sure how many classes each program will have, but it also depends on you and how long it takes you to complete the program, depending on how many classes you decide to take per semester. Okay. There's also plumbing. If we look into like the health, there's again and I'm going to talk about nursing in more in depth in a little bit, but they do have like the medical administrative assistant. So if you want to be working at a medical office, maybe doing the billing or checking in patients, they have this. They have the senior care technician. So again, these are all programs that are gonna pretty much immerse you straight into the field. They're gonna allow you to enter the workforce and allow you, to like meet the requirements so that you can start looking for a job if that's what you're looking for, just kind of to get started. They also have some really cool fashion programs. They have culinary arts if you're interested in becoming a chef. They also have cosmetology programs that you can go into if you're interested in doing hair, nails. They have some community colleges offer like a barbershop certificate. So, again, this is more you're learning skills in for a specific trade. And again, going back to the house metaphor, you can always build off of that, okay? You can always earn an associate's degree on it or, or licensing. So all of these programs are gonna prepare you for that. And feel free to put it in the chat, any specific programs or schools that you were, maybe one of you can volunteer and type in, what school you might be interested or what program you might be interested in. We can look into that as well. You can drop it on the chat and I'll be happy to, to look it up for you. Let's see. In the meantime, I'm going to move on. Okay. I also wanted to spotlight two of our, these two CTE programs are huge within the community college. Sorry, my earphone just fell. So they're huge within the community college. And so we have the health careers and we also have like automotive technology. And I specifically wanted to spotlight these two to also make another point. So there's there's a lot of schools out there that are private schools or for-profit schools that are going to offer these type of careers. And they tend to be more expensive. So for instance, they'll tell you, oh, become a dental hygienist in 9 months, and and they're really, really, really high tuition because they're for profit or they're private. And so I really, really want you guys to be mindful about that and to also know that the community colleges offer those types of programs. And like I mentioned earlier, for a lot of you guys, it might be free, right? And yes, you might have to purchase additional material for whatever program you're doing, but you can also utilize your financial aid money. We qualify for financial aid to pay for that additional material. So I just want you to be very mindful of that. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is that as we're talking about building the strong foundation, and maybe the possibility of, maybe you decide like, hey, you know what, I want to go back to school and maybe get a higher degree, maybe get an associate's degree. So you can utilize the classes that you took for your CTE program toward getting that associate's degree. But let's say that you decide that you want to go to another school, right? You go to maybe like a for-profit school. I think they closed it down, but let's use ITT Tech or UEI or one of those colleges. I don't know if they're still open or not. But let's say that you took classes in those particular schools and you wanted to go back and get your associate's degree. A lot of times you wouldn't be able to bring those classes over or transfer them over, right? So a lot of times we have students that would have to start from the very beginning to start building their college transcript or college credit. So just be very careful and mindful of that as you are researching different programs, okay? So for the health careers, there's just so many that you can get into. Certificate programs, we saw, for instance, the vocational nursing, right? And that refers to the LVN program. So in nursing, it's very interesting because it's like there's 3 levels. So you have your CNA, which is like the first level entry. Then you have your LVN, which is a licensed vocational nurse. And then you have your registered nurse, right? So a lot of students will start with the CNA program because, again, that's a 1 semester program that you can do. You can get a job. And it's very basic duties that you'll be doing with the patients, but it is patient care. So you'll probably be working at a center or, at a clinic. But that gives you already experience, right? And then students will decide like, okay, I want to be a licensed vocational nurse, which is a 2nd level, which would allow you to do more than what you were doing as a CNA. And then eventually they decide they want to go all the way and get their license as a registered nurse, right? And a lot of times I've seen students do this as they're going toward their RN license. They're working as an LVN or they're working as a CNA, but they're still working toward that RN license, okay? So it's very common. There's also a ton of different areas that you can go into within the certificate programs or the associate's degrees. So for instance, if we were to look into, let me look it up. And then let's look at health. Okay, so they have addiction studies. They even have administration of local anesthesia. So these are definitely great careers that you can go into. They have dental assisting. They also have the ultrasound, the diagnostic medical sonography. So they have like an ultrasound tech program as well. So if you're interested in that, there are other community colleges that also have the radiology program, just different emphasis or respiratory therapy. So it's definitely, it's worth looking into if you're looking into those health careers. And then if we look into the degrees and certificates and associate's degree, you'll notice that it's going to change. So if we were, let's say, to choose the same college, and you'll notice that it will change. So now, again, the associate's degrees, these take about 2 years to complete. They might take a little bit longer if you go into a nursing program, just because you do, they have their own admissions requirements that you would have to fulfill. But look, like they have like automotive technology, they have aviation and airport management. They just have so many things that you can go into So it's definitely worth exploring. So again, I'll share this link with you guys towards the end of the presentation. And then the same thing with automotives. So if we were to go back here, and then we look at the trade tech. See. Is it manufacturing? I think it is. So they have different, there you go. They have tune-ups. So if you're looking into getting into like a quick, hey, I want to get into working at a, I want like repair, collision repair, or just working on tune-ups. There's other community colleges that they teach you how to do oil changes. So, you can definitely do that with family too, in charge jump maybe. So yeah, so there's definitely very good programs within the community college system that you can get into. So we're gonna move on. Okay, and the reason why I brought these two up is because now we have the 15 bachelor's programs at the community college. This is somewhat new. So these programs are only offered at these community college. They do not offer these programs at the university level. And the cool thing about all these programs is that they were kind of built off from the CTE programs. So for instance, if you were interested in getting a bachelor's degree, if you were getting, in respiratory care, there's two colleges that you can go to and get a bachelor's degree in RT. Or if you wanted to be a dental hygienist, West LA, they offer a bachelor's degree, or in automotive technology, right? So as you can see, a lot of these different bachelor's programs were built off from the CTE. And so they're very unique to the community college. So again, if you're looking into, going further, than just getting a certificate, it's this is a very good way of doing that in that particular field that you're looking into. We also have the Noncredit Certificates. So if you're still kind of like, oh, I'm not sure, we have Noncredit Certificates that are free. They don't cost anything. There's no grades given. It doesn't impact your college transcript in a negative way. It doesn't count toward your GPA or anything like that. So this is perfect to kind of get your feet wet into some of these careers. And get a certificate and start working from them. So some, for example, they have the Intro to Early Care and Education. So I have heard of many students doing this program and getting jobs at daycares or preschools. So this is a great program to do. If you're looking into, receptionist or rehab therapy aid or building and construction trade. So this is also another option for you if you're kind of still like, I'm not sure what I want to get into, but I think I'm interested in this. This is another great way to do that. And then also for, for parents who are want to get into a career, or you're looking into maybe switching careers, this is a good way of doing it as well. And normally we'll recommend these programs so that you can, kind of get a feel of them. And, if you decide like, hey, I really like this, I want to move forward or continue and get, maybe get an associate's degree or get a certificate with credit classes, you can do that jump. You can transition over into the credit side. Okay. Okay. Then, so moving on, any questions so far before I move on? No? Okay. Sorry if I'm going too, if I'm going really fast, just let me know and I'll be happy to slow down or go over anything. All right. So now I want to jump focus into another um, great CTE program, which is the Child Development or the ECE, Early Childhood Education. This is another program that allows students to to jump into the field right away. Okay. And this is in particular for students that are interested in working at the preschool level. So we're talking preschool. We're not talking about kindergarten or even teaching as an elementary school teacher, because that's very different. This is mostly working with children with younger children. Okay. So what is ECE? So again, these programs provide education, care, and developmental support to children from birth, so infants to about 5 years of age. So again, it's that preschool age, so it's like right before they go into kindergarten, okay? So there are different concentrations within the field that students can choose. So you can do infant and toddlers, which are the babies, if you want to work with that population. So it's about infant to like 3 years. And then you also have the intervention and inclusion programs, which are working with students with special needs. And then a lot of colleges will just have the general option, which is the early education studies, where it kind of combines both of the infant, toddler, and intervention, but it's more general. It allows you to work with like different populations, right? Some possible careers that you can do. You can be a teacher's assistant. You can do childcare worker. You can even be a site supervisor or a director of a preschool or daycare center. Occupational therapy aid. You can also work with families. So I've heard a lot of students who are like, yeah, I want to work with young children, but I don't know if I want to teach them, right? So you can also work as like as early childhood education educator. So like a family educator where you can provide workshops or work with families. So that's another possibility as well. So what can you do? What can within the ECE field? So again, you can earn certificates, associate's degrees. I'm gonna talk more into the child development state permits and how to open your own daycare or preschool. Again, if you're looking to get right into the field, these are great ways of doing that. The state permits and opening your own daycare or preschool. Okay, so how do you get started? So in the field of ECE, there are 4 classes that are fundamental, and that's what we call the ECE core. So a lot of preschools and daycares, the 12 units, these 4 classes, 12 units, are going to be the minimum requirements in order for you to start working there. So you'll probably see, like a posting, assistant teacher needed or teacher needed, must have 12 units of ECE, right? So, or child development. So that's what they're referring to. Most likely we'll refer you to the ECE core. But yeah, so that's the minimum requirement. So you can definitely get these 12 units completed, which are 4 classes. You can get them completed in 1 semester, right? Or if you're working or you have other responsibilities, you can split it up. You can do it in 2 semesters, right? So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that this is something that you can get done, within like 1 semester. And then if you're looking of getting, into looking for a job right away, this can definitely help you. Or if you're already working at a school, this happens a lot. Where students are already working at a preschool, or they're working at a daycare, or they're working with the school districts and they are requiring them to have those 12 units. So you can still be working and be going to school to get these 12 units, right? Or you can be looking for jobs as you're working to finish this 12 units. So, it's something that you can definitely do, depending on how soon you want to start looking for jobs. Now, the child development permits are not granted by the community colleges. So there's always a lot of confusion because they think that we give them to students, but it's actually through the state. Okay, so the way that we work is basically you can take the requirements that each permit is asking you for at the community college, which is again, those ECE classes, right? So for instance, a child development associate teacher permit, it's exactly those 12 units that I was telling you about. So what do the permits do? Again, the permits are granted by the state of California. They're basically saying that you qualify to be working at a daycare or preschool under that capacity, right? And it allows you to enter the field right away. And a lot of times it also, it gives you that ability to move up or to, to increase your salary, right? So definitely having a certificate or having a permit to show is very beneficial because it allows you to move up. It allows you to have higher salary. So we are always encouraging students to, as soon as they're eligible for a permit, to go ahead and apply for a permit. So so these are the different levels. So you can have the assistant permit, the associate teacher permit, which is a 12-unit one, the teacher, master teacher, site supervisor, and then the program director. And all of these have different requirements, but you can definitely move up. You can get your associate teacher permit and then do an upgrade to a teacher permit once you meet those requirements. Okay, so definitely this is another way of getting into the field by having a permit. Right now, daycares and preschools do not mandate or require that you have a permit. I've heard that at one point they might do that, and I don't know when, but it's always great to have a permit when you qualify for it. So you can have a certificate from a community college or associate's degree and a permit, and that makes you an even more competitive candidate for a job. And so this is what I was referring to. You can open up your own daycare and or preschool. So you'll be surprised how easy it is to open up your own daycare. So these are, again, these are through the Department of Social Services. So it's not through the community colleges, but again, we can help you meet those requirements. They have the Family Child Care Home Provider. This one is for anyone that wants to have a licensed daycare center at their home. So if you want to be, you want to have your own daycare, then you can open it up at your house, and then you can get licensed for that. They have the child care center provider. This is where you actually rent, a facility in a building or somewhere, and then you open up your own preschool or daycare, right? And this is where you have your staff and, all that stuff. So they do have the forms or the requirements both in English and Spanish. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and click on them to learn more about it. So again, this is to open up your own daycare at your home. So as you can see, there's not a lot of requirements that you have to have. So you have to be 18 years of age, must live in a home, must obtain a criminal record clearance, a TB test, 16 hours of safety training like CPR and all of that. And then it also depends on how many children you want to have. I think there's like 6. I think there's a maximum of 6, and then they have like a larger number to go from. And then you just have to attend an online orientation. But I have seen a lot of students or, who are interested in opening their own daycare, but they're like, you know what, Flor, but I want to have that foundation. So they still take their child development classes to have, skills so that they can better run their program. So this is another great resource. I believe, this one I also provided the link on the resource page. So if you are interested in doing that, you can go ahead and get more information on how to open up your own daycare or preschool. So as you can see, there's definitely a lot of ways that you can enter the workforce right away, if that's what you're looking for. Okay. All right, and then these are just the list of resources that we have, that I had put in the slide. So if you want to take a picture of it, you can go ahead and take a picture of them. Are there any particular, any questions or anything, that you might want me to go back and cover? You can do that, you can go ahead and ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions about any of that. The other thing that I also wanted to make sure that is that, again, the CTE careers, there's so many ones that you can get into and that you can build from, right? So maybe right now, and I, as a counselor, I understand that a lot of times students are not looking into, transferring, or they just want to get, training for a particular career and start working right away. I totally understand that. Which is why, we have all these programs in place that you can definitely take advantage of if that's what your goal is. And the other good thing about this is that, once you start getting into the workforce, a lot of times your employers might ask you to go back and probably get like an associate's degree, or they might ask you to take a particular class, or, for salary purposes, or just because you want to move up positions. And this is all, you can definitely do that and build from whatever, again, that foundation that we talked about in the beginning, right? So it's, so these different CTE programs would allow you to do that if you ever decide to go back and start building from there. So it's very important to keep that in mind. The other thing too, again, that I'm gonna repeat, is again, be mindful of programs out there who are private or for profit, because they can be very expensive. And so you don't want to end up with any debt. And that happened, to one of my siblings. So, you don't want to, years, like 10 years later, you're still paying for that certificate that, that you earned, or you probably weren't happy with the program and you left. A lot of these schools, even if you don't like it, you still need to pay them. And so, again, be mindful of that as you are exploring and you're doing your research. And then the other thing too that I forgot to mention is this particular one. So we go back to the resources part for ECE. This is a very cool one. Let me see if I can take you there. So you always want to look for resources. So there's always going to be, again, if you're working in the field already, not specifically ECE, but if you're working in the field already, a lot of times your employers will pay for your schooling. So that happened to one of my siblings. He's an electrician, and his company was able to pay for his schooling to earn, you know, his license or certificate as an electrician. So a lot of places will do that. So just also, you know, and that's great opportunity. And ECE for child development specifically, there's this child development training organization that is great. They also, you know, we talked about the permits, right? The permits come with a fee. They're $100, and then you also have to pay for like live scan and all that stuff. You can apply for a stipend and they'll pay for it. You know, so it's also good to know your resources and do your research as well. They also they put up grants. So they have the support grant. So they do it every year. So if you're taking ECE classes or you're working in the field, they'll pay for your ECE classes. I've also heard students of working in specific school districts where they'll pay for their classes. Like if they're taking ECE classes, those school districts will pay for that to get it done. So, you know, it's very good, you know, to look into that as well as you're going into this different fields, because I know employers will pay for your classes or they want you to go back to school and earn those degrees. And a lot of times they'll offer that help. So it's important to also be mindful of all the different resources that are out there for you. Okay. All right. And then what I'm gonna do, any questions? So at this time, are there any questions that you have about, you know, anything? Let me see. Okay, so Linda, go ahead. I know you raised your hand. I think, Linda, you can unmute yourself. Oh, Andrea, can you help us out? Linda had a question. She raised her hand.
Okay. There should be a.
Okay, there you go. All right, Linda, go ahead. I think you can unmute yourself.
Okay, I just saw it. I'm sorry it didn't pop up early. I was like, where is it? Yeah, I just had a question. Do you know of any community colleges that would provide any sort of basis for someone who is interested in a music
You know what,
career?
Linda, give me a second.
Not work.
Very well. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, the mute button wasn't showing to where to unmute it on my screen like it normally does.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, I just wondered are there any community colleges, since you work for two, do you know of any that would provide any sort of basis for music production or any kind of musicianship, composing, anything like that, that would transfer to a regular college?
That will transfer to like a university or
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So there are so the community colleges do offer the music majors, music production. Let me actually, you can still see my screen, right?
Let me see. I gotta get rid of this screen.
Okay,
yeah. Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. So let me take you to, I know there's one that well, just as an example, and it might be like an associate's degree at this point. So let me look it up. So I'm gonna look up Santa Monica. I know they have, there you go. Animation, art. I know they do have music production. So yes, so you're gonna find it under like the music major. But they also have different concentrations for them as well. Let me see, where are you? Sorry, I have to go through the list of them. But yeah, but there's definitely music. They also have, there was one, I believe, that was like sort of like in recording or like radio. I remember looking into that, like radio production or recording production. That's another, you know, depending on whether, I hear you go, like depending on how, you know, you want to approach it. So here they offer like a regular associate's degree in music. And a lot of times it's performance. So when you, let's say, transfer to a university, like if you want to earn a bachelor's degree, a lot of times you might have to audition depending on what you want to go into. But like I said, there are community colleges that are more like in the production piece.
Okay. And that screen that you have up there with the all the community colleges listed, how do you get to that? Do you just Google California Community College 116 CCCS across the state?
No, so basically, if you go to, if you just go to icangotocollege.com, that should do it.
Okay.
So
All right.
I can go, I think I can. And then it's gonna, okay, I don't want this though. And then I'll show you how to get like from the main piece to, and it takes you right here. And then on the top, it gives you different, like you can search the colleges, you can do the degrees and certificates that we were looking at. And there's different ones. I mean, right now we were focusing on the CTE component of it, but they also have associate degree for transfers. So that's basically, these prepare you, these are the curriculum to prepare you to enter a bachelor's program at the university level. So these are going to be a little bit different than the ones that we were looking at.
All right, because I just didn't know, because I kind of brushed over some community colleges. I didn't really see anything, so maybe I just wasn't looking at the right ones. All right,
no worries. Yeah, you can definitely do your research, but and you know what, Linda, they might also have them under different names. So it might not be under music. They might be under different like production or recording studies or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other question?
You have a question in the
Mm-hmm.
Q.
Yes, if the person with an IT number, and this is a very good question. Yes, I believe you can. This is asking with the IT number. I'm gonna go ahead and double check this just so that I can make sure and give you the answer, but I believe you can if you have an ITIN. I know that you can apply for permits with your ITIN number. You don't necessarily need to have a social security number. But I'll definitely double check on the licensing for the daycare and the preschool. So this is a really great question. So what I'll do, Andrea, is I can look into this question and then I can email you, or I can email Giselle with the answer, just to confirm it. But I know that at least for state permits, you can apply just with an ITIN number. No worries. So I'll definitely get back to you on that one. That is such a great question. The same thing for the nursing licenses or nursing programs. You can apply with an ITIN number as well. Anybody else? Any other question? Right. Right. So what I'll do then is I'll go ahead and send this presentation over to the CALSOAP representatives, and then they can go ahead and distribute it to you guys. But yeah, but definitely take, and again, like Linda, you might have to go into the actual, like if you don't see it on this website, you might have to go into the actual community college websites to see if they offer that program. Again, I also want to let you know that not all community colleges are going to offer the same program. So it's definitely, you want to do your research to see, like which community college offers that program that you're looking for. Okay. So again, if you don't see it in this particular website on the I Can Afford College, as I Can Go to College, you might have to go specifically to that college to see if they offer the program you're looking for. And it's always a really great idea to speak to a counselor in that college. You don't necessarily have to be a student. You can just be, like a prospective student, and you can meet with the counselor, and they can, or outreach representative, and they can help you, look for that program that you're looking for. So if there's no other questions, again, I really appreciate you guys joining. I was very excited about doing this presentation. Again, I'm gonna share the presentation with the CALSOAP representatives, and they can go ahead and send it out to you guys. Thank you so much. Andrea, is there anything, housekeeping, anything that you would want to let them know about?
Just a reminder that there will be a